morning. You've got interest rates knocking at the door next Tuesday. You've got inflation through the roof. You've got wages through the floor. And you've got interest rate rises knocking on the door for Australians right around the country. We've been telling the story for the last few months that everything's going up except people's wages. And yesterday we got the undisputable proof of that with the worst rise in inflation in 20 years. If you go to the shops, you know that's true. If you've been to Woolies or Coles, you see it with your own eyes. I was speaking to somebody the other day that said when you're pushing the trolley through Woolies and you get to the counter and it adds up to more than $200, you know prices are going up. And what did we hear from Scott Morrison about this today? It's not my fault. That was basically what Scott Morrison said. It's not my fault. Well, next time you're at Woolies and Coles and you're swiping your goods and you hear the beep, beep, beep ringing in your ears, will be Scott Morrison. Not my fault, not my fault, not my fault. Well, it's not good enough. And it's not just increases in the price of food, it's increases in rent. You know, hot off the press today, there's a report from Anglicare that says that only 1.6% of rental houses are now affordable for people on low incomes. I'm not surprised about that either. I was in Coffs Harbour last year. I went and saw a place where there were 50 people lined up to try to rent a place. And the woman that was successful in becoming the tenant there had to pay the rent 12 months in advance. And she took out a personal loan to do it. I went further up the road to Byron Bay, speaking to some homeless organisations there. They told me they spoke to the police, who told them there are 400 women sleeping in cars around Byron Bay. Now just think about that for a minute. That's the housing crisis in Australia today. And you've got Scott Morrison saying if you can't afford to rent, buy a house. You know, Scott Morrison, to planet Earth, we have a cost of living crisis here. We've got a housing crisis. Every time Scott Morrison says strong economy, Aussies see him on TV and say, it ain't that strong for me, mate. Scott Morrison, you are out of touch and you are out of time. Christine.
Well, Jason's right. We do have a cost of living crisis in Australia, and we know, because Matthias Cormann told us, that low wages are a deliberate design feature of this government's economic management. We also know a deliberate design feature of their budgetary management is rorts and waste. This is a government that has wasted taxpayer dollars while Australians are struggling to make ends meet. This is a government that has perfected the art form of slush funds and rorts. $100 million on sports rorts. Just across the harbour here, we've got a $10 million swimming pool in North Sydney, rorted out of funds that were meant to be for the Regents. We've got a car park rort, $660 million for car parks, promised to coalition seats, never been built. They've wasted almost $20 billion on JobKeeper to companies that turned a profit. And they're spending $12 million a year to deliver jobs for their mates. For Australian families who are seeing the cost of petrol and bread and milk, the things they need for everyday life go up and up and up 6%, the cost of necessary items. And yet they see their government wasting their money, taxpayer money, treating it like it is Liberal Party money. You can't afford 3 more years. This profligate spending must end. And that is why yesterday, when Labor announced its approach to budget repair, one of the key aspects is an audit of the rorts and the waste. Because it's not just the quantity of the spend, it is the quality of the spend. These are scarce taxpayer dollars, and every dollar we spend should be in support of improving opportunities, improving the quality of living, and attacking the cost of living crisis that has developed on Scott Morrison's watch.